उपसदष्टशीलच आहे.
दोन्ही घ्यायचे.
उपसदच घ्या सर.
ओके. वंदामी म्हणते, I will request you for Shama Yachna and Shri Yachna. Okas Vandami Bhante Dvartena Katam Sabam Aparadam Kamatu Me Bhante Ditiyamti Okas Vandami Bhante Dvartena Katam Sabam Aparadam Kamatu Me Bhante Tatiyamti Okas Vandami Bhante Dvaratena Katam Sabam Aparadam Kamatu Me Bhante.
Sukhi Hodu, Nibbana Sampachya Hodu.
I will request you for Ashtashil Uposat. Okasa Aham Bhante Ti Saranena Sa Ashtashila Uposata Dhammang Yachami Anugaham Katva Shilang Detame Bhante Dutiyamti Okasa Aham Bhante Ti Saranena Sa Ashtashila Uposata Dhammang Yachami Anugaham Katva Shilang Detame Bhante Tatiyamti Okasa Aham Bhante Ti Saranena Sa Ashtashila Uposata Dhammang Yachami Anugaham Katva Shilang Detame Bhante.
Yamavadana Bhante.
Aham Bhante.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Buddhang Saranam Gacchami, Dhammang Saranam Gacchami, Sanghang Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranam Gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranam Gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranam Gacchami.
Dadiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dadiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Dadiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranam Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranam Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranam Gacchami.
Ti Saranagahanam Paripurnam.
Aham Bhante.
Finish? Already brought up?
Yeah. Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Adhinnadana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Abrahmacharyacha Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Surameraya Majjapamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Vikala Bhojana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Nachcha Gita Vadita Visukha Dassana Mala Gandha Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhussanattana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Uchchasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Isarnena Sahatanga Sarangatang Bosatan Sila Dhamman Sadhutanga Vapamati Sampakita.
Am Bante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Bante, your voice is, audio is not clear.
Not clear?
No.
So,
Again, same disturbance.
some disturbance. Okay, so I have to change the location again, right?
Please.
I should check. So maybe I should move the location. Wait for a while.
Okay.
Can you hear?
Yes, Bante.
Is it clear?
Little bit.
Little bit clearer. Oh,
Ah,
this is outside Manguti.
outside.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, okay.
you can carry Bante.
Okay, so now we will start Dhamma talk by paying homage to the Buddha, reciting the Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. As we have already announced, we will explain Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. This is the very first discourse of the Buddha. Also, the first discourse about Four Noble Truths. So as you have already known where the Buddha delivered this discourse, because you live in India, you know where the Buddha delivered the discourse. Now we also have to know when the Buddha delivered the discourse. Before the sun sets, but the moon rises in the east. Before the sun setting, before sun totally setting, but also there's also rising of the moon. At the time, the Buddha delivered this discourse in the full moon day of Asala. So now we have to know again. 1 month ago, the Buddha delivered this discourse according to Buddhist calendar. But today is also one of the full moon day. But actually, today is a Metta day because the Buddha delivered Metta Suttas. But now we have to talk about Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. As is the first discourse, many of Pali terms will be very new to the community. The Buddha was living in the Varanasi, Isipatana, Deer Park. Then the Buddha addressed the 5 bhikkhus. Bhikkhus, the 2 extremes are not to be cultivated by the ordained person. This is the first part. The Buddha talk about it. After that, what are the 2? Then we have in Pali, Kamesu Kama Sukhandi Yogo. This is the first extreme way. It is, there's a devotion to indulgence of sensual pleasure in the object of sensual desire. So here we have to understand 2 different things. The one thing is Vatu Kama, enjoyable things. It can be visible objects. It also can be audible objects. It also can be smell, taste, touch, or thoughts. Then with the objects to be enjoyed, all these are called Vatu Kama. Although we have Vatu Kama, if we don't have defilements, all the enjoyable things are meaningless. So if our mind take enjoyable things as objects, or if we have pleasant minds, if we defilements, then there will be enjoying sensual pleasure. The Buddha said, enjoying sensual pleasure is also extreme way. The Buddha also said, he no, inferior. That means it cannot make us superior. It cannot upgrade our morality and our spiritual quality and so on. Then it also got more. This is like the nature of the wild people. In the wilderness, if we live alone or in solitudes, our mind become very gross. We can also imagine ancient time like cannibalisms. Their lifestyle is very, very terrible. So sometimes if our life is full of enjoyment, we thought it's good, but actually it's full of danger. Then we also said the one, photogenica, the nature of worldly people or ordinary people. All the ordinary people can enjoy social pleasure, but extraordinary people can cut or can subside their mind to enjoy social pleasure. Then the Buddha also said, Anario is not for the noble person. All the noble persons are trying to cut the enjoyment like this. So not only that, all the noble persons are trying to eradicate the defilements, not only avoiding sensual pleasure. They may have less attachment, they may have less enjoyable things, and their lifestyle become more comfortable. In modern community, we are looking for enjoyment all the time. We spend very long time for enjoyment. We also have to suffer for it very long time. This is called Dhammacakkappavattana yoga. Not only that, the Buddha also said, Anatta Sahito. Anatta Sahito means it's not really beneficial for the practitioners. That's why we have to think about it. This is the first part we have to know as Dhammacakkappavattana yoga, self-indulgent. The one more thing here we have to know, self-indulgent is following our desire too much, following our wish, fulfilling our wish too much. If we're trying to follow our desire too much, we are self-indulgent, then we become immoral. We can become immoral anytime. So we like more comfortable things, more pleasurable things. If we follow comfort and enjoyment, we can be immoral in any situations, in any conditions. Now the Buddha recommended his disciple to cut all evil minds. So if we follow our mind too much, sure, most of the time our mind delight in evil, bad things. So if our mind forces us to do many wrong things, if we don't have enough mind power to resist, we can be immoral. That is why the Buddha reminded his disciple not to follow extreme way, Dhammacakkappavattana yoga, self-indulgent. Now we have the next one, Attakilamatthana Yoga. So Attakilamatthana Yoga is sub-torment or sub-mortification. What's the use of it? When the Buddha talk about Attakilamatthana Yoga, the Buddha use here, to call is suffering. We to suffer for it. And the real is not the practice of noble person. Another Sayadaw is also meaningless or no benefit. In ancient India, you may have read many stories and many different cultures. Right? They may eat every second day, every third day, every 7th day, or maybe once a week, or maybe only maybe once in 2 weeks or something like that. So they also think that if they torture their body, if their body encounter many suffering, then defilement will not arise. It's also right, sure. If we are tired or if our minds are very pain, no attachment, no sensual pleasure, no lustful mind. But it's not the right way to uproot the attachment. If we are going to uproot the attachment, we must practice the Noble Eightfold Path. So here the Buddha said, if we practice self-indulgence, it's just suffering. It's not useful, not beneficial. But the Buddha didn't say he nor karma is superior or is very low or vulgar or anything. But the Buddha didn't say that kind of things. Buddha just say dukkha, suffering. So that means if we torture ourselves too much, we cannot concentrate very well. When we are going to meditate, we must balance the full posture. If we can balance well, we can practice well. If we cannot balance well, we cannot practice well. This is the main things we have to know when we are going to practice. So again here, after these two wrong ways, the Buddha also realized middle paths. As we have already known, the Buddha was practicing extremisms in Uruvela forest, nearly 6 years. So actually at that time he was practicing sub-indulgence. Sub-mortification or sub-torment. He practicing nearly 6 years. He could not achieve anything. After that, he realized he must change his technique. Then he really changed his practice. This is Noble Eightfold Path. Then the Buddha also say here, Ete ko bhikkhave ubo ande nuba gama majjhima patipata tathakatena abhisambuddha chakku karani jnana karani and so on. So here, without following these two extreme ways, the Buddha discovered the middle path. It gives the vision, chakku karani. Then jnana karani, he also give the knowledge. Upasamaya, to make the seeds for the cessations of defilements. Abhinyaya, to know the truth with direct knowledge. Sambodhaya, to penetrate the truth of the Dhamma. Nibbanaya, for the realizations of Nibbana, or for the cessations of defilements. So if we wish to have vision, knowledge, cessations, also knowledge, also like a higher knowledge, or penetrations of Nibbana or realizations of Nibbana, we must practice the middle path. We also say Noble Eightfold Path. Then the Buddha also lists out what are the Noble Eightfold Paths. As you have known, Samadhi, right view, Sammasankappa, right thoughts, Samavacha, right speech, Sammakammanto, right action, Sammaatiyo, right livelihoods, Sammavayamo, right effort, Sammasati, right mindfulness, and Sammasamadhi, right concentration. These are called middle paths. They are also called Noble Eightfold Paths. If we are going to avoid true extremism, we have to follow the Noble Eightfold Paths. Now we also should know the Noble Eightfold Paths one by one. Because here in the discourse, the Buddha did not explain the Noble Eightfold Path in detail. But when we study like a Satipatthana Sutta, and the Buddha explains very much in detail. What's really called Samadhi. If we can understand the Four Noble Truths, this is Samadhi. The right rule is come from understanding the Noble Eightfold Paths, or understanding the Four Noble Truths, or realizing the Four Noble Truths. This is called right view. Then here in this sutta, the Buddha explains the Noble Eightfold Paths, and also the Buddha explains the Four Noble Truths. Although it's not that much in detail, but it's good enough for understanding. What's it really called? Sammasankappa, right thoughts. Yes, we have to know wrong thoughts. We have thoughts of sensuality. This is also wrong thoughts. Thoughts of ill will. This is also wrong thoughts. Thoughts of cruelty. This is also wrong thoughts. Contrary to that, we have right thoughts. Thoughts of renunciation. If we're trying to give up sensual pleasure, if we're trying to practice to attain jhana, if we practice to gain more merit, to accumulate more wholesome deeds, or if we practice to attain nirvana, this is called renunciation. Thoughts of renunciation. Then we have thoughts of non-cruelty. Thoughts of goodwill. We must have goodwill towards all living beings. So here we can also understand another way. We must have more metta towards living beings. Again, thoughts of non-cruelty. If we say thoughts of non-cruelty, it must be karuna, compassion toward living beings. So if we have a lot of cruelty, we will torture many living beings. If we have compassion, we may not torture any living beings. So this is also called right thoughts. So then the main thing is, right thought means thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of goodwill, and thoughts of non-cruelty. That is called right thoughts. Now what is it really called? Right speech. We have wrong speech, telling lie. We have already know musawada, vedamini, sikkhapada, and samadhi. Then from time to time, you may also take for Ajivata Dhammacakkappavattana sila. There you will mention musawada, vedamini, then pisuna vacha, prusa vacha, sampapalapa. So like a slandering, backbiting, harsh speech, vain talks, or useless talks. If we abstain from all these things, that means we have right speech. So that means we must tell the truth. We must tell for the welfare of community, to reconcile people. Then we must tell politely and kindly. Now we must speak only beneficial for the community or the listeners. This is called right speech. Now what's really called right actions? Of course, we have already known that Panadipada Vedamini, Adinadana Vedamini, Kamasumichachara Vedamini, these are wrong actions. Contrary to that, we have right actions. We must have kindness to our living beings without killing, without torturing, without harming. This is right actions. Then we must protect other people's properties, other people's family. This is also called right actions. Then we have sama ajivo, right livelihoods. As Buddhists, if we have wrong traits like a weapon traits, poison traits, meat traits, animal traits, also human trafficking, all these are called wrong livelihoods. So if we also like illegal traits, intoxicant, right? Intoxicant trading, all these are also called wrong livelihoods. So if we avoid all these types of trading, this is called right livelihoods. So we must have right livelihoods. In reality, samavata, samagamanta, samaajiva, these three are called morality. We must have good behavior, good speech, good livelihoods. Maybe we have proper lifestyle. These are called morality. We call in Pali sila. These are also foundations of samatha and vipassana. Then we have the next group, samavayamo, right efforts. What's it really called? Right efforts. Okay, here I should introduce 4 different Pali words. The first one is we have to know samvara. Samvara means we must abstain from unwholesome deeds that we have never done before. That means we must protect ourselves from new unwholesome things. If we don't have habit of taking intoxicants, don't try it. Don't do it. Don't make a new habit. If we don't have habit of smoking, don't smoke it. Don't make a new habit. If we don't have any habit of chewing bitter nuts, don't chew it. Don't make a new habit. So if we have many bad habits, when we have new habits, it's very difficult to change. That's why the first thing is protecting ourselves from new bad habits or new unwholesome things. Second one is pahana. Pahana means abandonment or abandoning. So if we have bad habits, we have to abandon. We have to give up gradually, slowly, step by step. For example, if we have a habit of smoking, sure, it's very difficult to stop smoking. But when we have very strong minds or very strong willingness, it's possible. This is mind power to overcome it. This is also called virya. Then another one is bhavana, development. If we have good habits, try to upgrade, try to improve that good habit. For example, if we have habits of meditating, maybe 1 hour a day, maybe upgrade 2 hours a day, or 1/2 an hour a day at least. Then if we can upgrade longer than that, it will be better. If we have a habit of taking 8 steps once a week, okay, upgrade twice a week. It depends on our situation. We can upgrade our conditions. Then the last one is anurakana, maintaining good habit. If we cannot improve, at least we must try to maintain our good habit. It's more beneficial for us. So although we say samavayamo, right effort, it covers 2 different things. One is bodily energy, another one is mental energy. If we have very strong mental energy, we can overcome any kind of bad habit. We can stop any kind of bad habit. We can improve any kind of good habit. This comes from our mental energy, mind power. This is also called samavayama. Then samasati, right mindfulness. So here is very wide. You know Buddhanusati, Dhammanusati, Sanghanusati, many of recollections. If we remember good things, this is called Samasati. If we remember bad things, we cannot say this is Samasati. So that means we must do many good things. We must try to know good things, try to remember good things. This is called Samasamadhi. If we can do better than that, we have 4 Satipatthana, 4 foundations of mindfulness. Body contemplation, Kanupassana Satipatthana. Then feeling contemplation, Vedanupassana Satipatthana. Mind contemplation, Chidanupassana Satipatthana. Then Dhamma contemplation, Dhammanupassana Satipatthana. If we can do one of these 4 Satipatthana, this is also called Samasati. Then Samasamadhi. Yes, this one is more important for the modern community. Although we cannot find very much in detail in Mahasati, also the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, but when we study Mahasatipatthana Sutta in the Dhammanupassana about Satyabhava, the chapter of Noble Truths, there the Buddha mentioned Samasamadhi in detail. Actually, there are so many other discourses saying to that definition. What is it called? Samasamadhi. What is it really called? Right concentration. The Buddha said, the first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana, the fourth jhana. These are called Samasamadhi, right concentration. But in the commentary, we have some exceptions. That means, although we have active concentration, it can be Samasamadhi. So if we have like 8 immaterial jhanas, higher than 4 jhanas, right? We have material jhanas, 4 material jhanas, and 4 immaterial jhanas. If we can achieve 4 immaterial jhanas, so this is also called Samasamadhi. So in brief, we have to know the way forward is middle way. This the method or the path we have to follow. If we are going to make end of suffering, we have to practice these 8 noble paths. If we summarize the 4 paths, there will be Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Samavacha, Samakamanda, Samajiva are Sila, Samavayama, Samasati, Samasamadhi are Samadhi, then Samadhi and Samasankappa are Panya, wisdom. So we can say these are also called 3 trainings, according to Buddha's teaching. So these noble 4 paths can make vision, can produce vision, can lead to the vision. That means we can know 4 noble truths. Then they also can make knowledge, knowing the 4 noble truths. Then this is also called upasama, cessations of season. There's cessations of defilements. Vinyaya, higher knowledge. Sure, we can experience higher knowledge. We can also realize higher knowledge. We can also attain higher knowledge. Sambodhaya, penetrations. We can penetrate 4 noble truths. Nibbanaya, for the realizations of Nibbana, to uproot defilements. Then the Buddha also talk about 4 noble truths in this discourse. The first one is dukkha satya. Idanko bhikkhave dukkhaṃ riya satya. Then the Buddha said, jati dukkha, aging is suffering. Jarapi dukkha, reward is suffering. Jarapi dukkha, aging is also suffering. Vyadhi dukkha, sickness is also suffering. Maranampi dukkha, death is also suffering. These 4 sufferings come from our life. As long as we have life, we will have these sufferings. We start with suffering in this very life. We will end up this life with suffering. This is the nature of samsara. So as long as we cannot make end of suffering or end of samsara, we have to suffer from these four in every single lives, every single existence, whether it's inferior or superior, whether it's a long lifespan or short lifespan, in any situations, in any conditions, every beginning of life, where we end in life, end of the life. So the main thing is, Jati, Jara, Bhayati, Marana, these four sufferings come from life. We have to understand briefly. Then we have Abhiyehi Sambayogo Dukho, associating with unloved one or enemies is also suffering. Biyehi Vibayogo Dukho, dissociating from beloved one is also suffering. These two suffering come from our community. As long as we are in the group or in the community, sure, there will be somebody we love, somebody we hate. As long as we have our beloved one or enemies, we have to suffer from it. This is the nature of life. If we don't have this kind of community, living in the forest alone, just meditating, no community, no contact with other people, no suffering. So the main thing is this one, Abhi Sambayoga Dukha, associating with unloved one. Bihi Vibayoga Dukha, dissociating from beloved one. These come from community, society, from our environment. Yambi Chana Lamati, Tambi Dukha. So not getting what we want, what we desire, is also suffering. This comes from our karma. Although we are very wise, we are very diligent, if our karma does not favor us, we cannot get what we want. If our karma favor, we are also wise enough, we are also diligent enough, we can get what we want. So the main thing is, there are many occasions or many times we encounter in our life. Although we want a lot, we try very hard, but we cannot get the result we want. This is also suffering in our life. This is the noble truth of suffering. Then the Buddha also said the next noble truth. Itan ko bhikkhave dukkha samudaya ariya satya. This is the origin of the noble truth of suffering. What is this? Here the Buddha said, Yayantana bono bhavika. So there is a tanna, craving or attachment. What kind of attachment? Bono bhavika. It can produce new life, new existence. Yes, we all have this kind of attachment. We have attachment to our life. We have attachment to next life. We have accumulated many wholesome or unwholesome deeds. As long as we have attachment, then it can produce new life. This is called Bona Bhavika. The Nandi Raga Sagata. Here, one more thing here, we have to not talk about this one. Nandi Raga means Nandi is also a kind of attachment or like or delight or pleasure. Raga is also lust or attachment. Two synonyms. Nandi and Raga, these two are synonyms. If we do synonym, it becomes very powerful. Not ordinary attachment. It becomes very powerful attachment. Yes, we have very deep love in ourselves. We love ourselves too much. That's why it is called Nandi Raga. Tadara Binandini. This Pali word will be a little bit new to many new people. But here we have to know that Tadara Binandini means enjoying this and that. Or that means attachment to this and that. What does that mean? What about we are born? We have attachment to the life. Wherever we are, we find for enjoyment. This is also called Tatara Pinandini. Now we are born as a human being. We were born as a human being. We like human existence. We like human enjoyment. Similarly, when we were born as animal, we will like animal enjoyment. When we were born as a deva, divine beings, we will like divine pleasure, divine enjoyment. So whatever enjoyment we have, we like it, we desire it, we have attachment to it. That is called Tatara Pinandini. Everywhere, in any situation, that we try to adapt to our environment and circumstance. It comes from Tatara Pinandini, a kind of attachment. Then we have the next one. The three types of tanha. They are also called the original suffering in brief. Oh, sorry, previously I forgot to say one thing. In brief, the five clinging aggregates is also called the novel suffering. So about novel suffering, I missed one part. This is five clinging aggregates. But now here, in the case of the original suffering, what I talk about, Dhammacakkappavattana, attachment to sensual pleasure, or Bhavatana, attachment to life, Vibhavatana, attachment to non-existence. So people also have a lot of attachment to sensual pleasure because we are born in sensual realms. Our mind inclined to sensual pleasure too much. We can avoid it. If we try to avoid, we must have very strong mind power. Then Bhavatana, attachment to life. Sure, we all have attachment to our life. We love ourselves too much. That's why if we have to suffer from something, we avoid that kind of things. Then finally, Vibhavatana, attachment to non-existence. So here, these two, Bhavatana, attachment to existence, Vibhavatana, attachment to non-existence. These two associate with wrong view. The first one is Bhavatana, this is eternalism, attachment to eternal view. Life will be endless. We can enjoy endlessly, one life to another, from another life. Then we also have another perceptions or another believing or wrong view. That was a non-existence. After this life, no more existence, no more life. We cannot believe what we cannot see. This is also one of the things we have to know. So in brief, we have to know that attachment to sensual pleasure, attachment to existence, attachment to non-existence. These three are called the origin of suffering. Then again, but the Buddha also talk about the next noble truth, and that is the cessations, the noble truth of the cessations of suffering. What's really called the noble truth of the cessations of suffering? It is Nibbana. What's really called Nibbana? The Buddha addressed Yodasa Yevatanaya Asesa Viraka Nirodo. We have to know that one. Tassa Yevatanaya Asesa Viraka Nirodo. So here the Buddha also use Asesa, remainless. So what is it really called? Remainless. Then remainless may fade away of attachment, or three types of tanha, craving. Then we also have another one, tyago, relinquishing, or giving up. We have to give up all types of attachments to anything, but in this go, releasing. We can also say a synonym of giving up. Mukta, free from three types of attachment. We can also say like letting go. Then finally, analayo. Analayo means non-attachment, or we can also say like a resetting of the craving. This is called Nirodha Sajja, the noble truth of the cessations of suffering. So we have to know that the first noble truth is the noble truth of suffering is a five clinging aggregates. The second noble truth is the origin of suffering is a kind of craving or any kind of craving that can produce a new life. Then we have the last one, the noble truth of the cessations of suffering is Nibbana. So when we are going to practice Vipassana, we have to know the first two noble truths. The noble truth of suffering and the noble truth of the origin of suffering. But we must not talk about the cessations of suffering here. It is the end of the practice. When we can realize Nibbana, we can experience that one. This is our aim, our ambitions, our goal. And finally, we have the noble truth of the path leading to the cessations of suffering. There's a noble four paths, as we have explained before. In brief, it can be sila, morality, samadhi, concentration, and panya, wisdom, because I say vipassana. So these three are called, the three trainings are called the noble truth of the noble truth of the path leading to the cessations of suffering. As we have already known the four noble truths, in the very beginning we have suffering. Second one, the cause of suffering. The third one, cessations. The fourth one, the cause of cessation. All the four noble truths have cause and effect relationship. So we have one simile in the Pali Canon. The Buddha is like very clever physician or a doctor. When we have sickness, we have to find the cause of sickness. After that, we can recover from sickness. We must also know the treatment, the remedy. So similarly now, our sickness is the first noble truth, the noble truth of suffering. Then the cause of suffering is the craving, as we have known. Then we have the next one, the cessations of suffering, just recovering from sickness. Then finally, the remedy or the treatment. This is the noble truth of the origin leading to the cessations of suffering, the noble four paths. So this is the four noble truths that can give vision and knowledge for the practitioners. Then again, we have to explain the next group of Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. If we make new group and group, the first group is about wrong practice and right practice. The second group is four noble truths. The third group is, we can say like a 12 aspects of four noble truths. What should we do with the four noble truths? Then the Buddha says, Idam dukkha ariya satyanti me bhikkhawe ubena nusudesu dhammesu jakkha uddapati, jnana uddapati, and so forth. So the Buddha explains, the Buddha experienced or have known that, have never heard before. There's an unheard Dhamma, unheard experience. That's called the first noble truth. The jakkha uddapati, the vision will arise. Jnana Udabadi, the knowledge will arise. Panya Udabadi, the wisdom will arise. Vijja Udabadi, this is also called enlightenment will arise. Aloka Udabadi, the light will arise. And all these things are heard before. Then we have to know what's really called Satya here. We can understand that it is Satya Jnana in the Four Noble Truths. Satya Jnana means this comes from Dasana Pativeda. Dasana Pativeda means penetration or realizing by the first path knowledge. That means Satapati path knowledge. We can penetrate these noble truths. This is called Satya Jnana. Now, what to do with this, the noble truth of suffering? Then the Buddha explained here, Tanko Panidam Dukkha Riya Satyam Brinyeyam. So that means we must try to penetrate, or we must try to know it. It doesn't mean that we have to accept the Four Noble Truths, or we have to remove the Four Noble Truths, or we have to reject the noble truth of suffering. The Buddha just explains that we must know the noble truth of suffering. So we have to remember one, we must not reject. We must try to understand it. We must try to realize it. So to do with the first noble truth, the noble truth of suffering is to realize or to understand it. This is called Kichanyana, the function. What to do with Four Noble Truths. What to do with the noble truth of suffering. So this one can be penetrated by the higher noble paths, higher path knowledges. Sakadagami path knowledge, Anagami path knowledge, Anatta path knowledge. We can understand like that. What has already understand with higher path knowledges. Then with this one, Brinyatan. So Brinyatan means we have already understood or penetrated. This is called Katanyana. We can also say revealing knowledge. So after penetrating or understanding the noble truth of suffering, so we must try to review with revealing knowledge. Okay, here I have to explain the sequence. The first, we have insight knowledge to know the Four Noble Truths. Then we have the first path knowledge to know the Four Noble Truths, to penetrate Four Noble Truths. Then we have the second, third, fourth path knowledges to develop. We call Bhavana Pativeda, previous knowledge. Then after attaining all the fruition knowledges, every end of fruition knowledge, we have revealed knowledges. We have to review path fruition or defilements, remaining defilements or eradicated defilements, and Nibbana. So all these are called revealed knowledges. So if we can review one of these five, then this is also called Kata Jnana. Buddha has done all these things by his revealed knowledge. Then the next group, we have Samudaya Satya, the noble truth of the origin of suffering. Yes, in the very beginning, we have to know this is the noble truth of the origin of suffering that we have never heard before. Anunusutesu, Pobinonusu Dhammesu, Ahas Dhammas. The world have seen it. This is called Satya Jnana, the knowledge of knowing the truth. Then after that, what to do with this truth? Although we know this is the origin of suffering, what to do it with? What to do with it? Then here the Buddha says, Tanko Panidam Dukkha Samudaya Rasajam Pahadabam. It must be eradicate it, uproot it. So we have to know the origin of suffering, the craving or attachment, but we must, not only we have to know it, we must try to eradicate or uproot it with the first noble paths, also with remaining noble paths, with revealed knowledge. This is called Satya Jnana, Kicha Jnana, Kata Jnana. Three methods, 3 steps we have to know. Then again, we have the next one. Okay, today we have very limited time, so maybe I should go a little bit faster, right? Dukkha Nirodha Ariya Satyam. This is also Ahar Dhamma. One has known that with the first path knowledge. After that, we also know that Dhammacakkappavattana and Dukkha Nirodha Ariya Satyam Satchikattabam. We have to penetrate or experience it. If somebody asks, what to do with Nirvana? Sure, we must experience it. This is the function. We have to do it. Then, Dhammacakkappavattana and Dukkha Nirodha Ariya Satyam Satchikattabam. I have already experienced, realized. Then if we have known that, if we have experienced that, it's a revealed knowledge. So with the first knowledge, the first path knowledge, with higher 3 path knowledges, or with revealed knowledge, we have to know in 3 ways. But finally, we have Dukkha Idam, Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada Ariya Satyam. This is the noble truth of the path leading to the cessations of suffering. In this part, we have to know that the noble truth of the Dhammacakkappavattana, the path, the noble eightfold path, is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. We have to know it. Not only knowing it with the first path knowledge, we must also know with higher knowledges. Then it's mentioned, Dhammacakkappavattana, Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada Ariya Satyam, Bhave Tapa, developed. We must develop these 5, so these 8 noble eightfold paths, 8 noble paths. If we can develop with higher path knowledges, we can take up headship after that with revealed knowledge. Dhammacakkappavattana, Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada Ariya Satyam, Bhave Tapa. So we have to know that we have already developed with higher knowledges, higher path knowledges. That means we can review with our revealed knowledge. Okay, so in brief, we have 4 noble truths. In every noble truth, we have to know with the first path knowledges, the 3 higher knowledges, with revealed knowledges. In Pali, we call Satya Jnana, Kicha Jnana, Kata Jnana. That's why it becomes 12 aspects. And here, the Buddha explained, Yava Kivancha me bhikkhave, imesu chatusu ariya satyesu, evanti privatan pradasakaram. So that means as long as the Buddha didn't know the 4 noble truths with the 3 phases of each 4 noble truths. So what is called 3 phases? That means Satya Jnana, Kicha Jnana, Kata Jnana. Okay, if we say for easier understanding, knowing with the first path knowledge, the 3 higher path knowledges, and also with the revealed knowledge. So 4 noble truths is multiplied by these 3, it will become 12 aspects, Dvarasakara. So as long as the Buddha didn't understand or realize 4 noble truths with 12 aspects or 3 praises, as long as it's not very clear, the Buddha didn't declare that he was attained Buddhahood. And when he could hear, when he could know it clearly, when the Buddha could understand the 4 noble truths with 3 phases and 12 aspects, then the Buddha declared that he had attained Buddhahood. in these words. So this is the main parts in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. After enlightenment, like this, then here we can say Akubami Vimoti. The Buddha liberations cannot be changed or cannot fade away, cannot retrace anymore. This is also the last life, Ayamanti Majati. The Nati Dhanipuna body, there's no more new life. Then, on hearing that, the 5 bhikkhus rejoice the Buddha's teaching. At the end of this Dhamma talks, Venerable Konanya attained Sarabhatipada fusion knowledge. After that, you can also understand all the devas, right? Declare from Earth Deva to Mahārajaka Deva, Tarinsa Deva, and so on. All the remaining parts are utterance of divine beings. After that, you also mentioned at the very moment, there is earthquake in many different ways. Then Venerable Konanya can understand the Four Noble Truths. Because when the word also utter, Anyasivata Bo Kwananyo, Anyasivata Bo Kwananyo, all Kwananya has already penetrated, and so forth. Then this is the name, it becomes his name, Anyasi Kwananyo. So in brief, in this Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, we have only very simple instructions of the Buddha. There's a Four Noble Truths. The Buddha explained only Four Noble Truths, many aspects, many ways to understand, but not that much in detail as in Mahasatipatthana Sutta. But anyway, this is good enough for new practitioners. We must know the Four Noble Truths. The first 2 Noble Truths, do we know, do we understood as meditator? Then the last Noble Truths is to be practiced. Then if we can practice well, then we will attain the 3rd Noble Truth, the end of suffering. So finally, as conclusion, I wish may you all be able to practice the Buddha's teaching, the 3 trainings, as power of the 3 trainings, or by the power of the 3 trainings, may you all be able to realize end of suffering, nirvana. Okay.
But is it okay to ask some questions?
Okay.
कुणाला प्रश्न आहेत का? कोणाला प्रश्न असतील तर प्लीज लवकर हँड रेज करा, जास्त वेळ नाही घेत आहे. रवींद्र सर प्रश्न आहेत का?
No question?
I think no question, Bante.
Bante, one question.
Okay.
You said about that realization of 4 Noble Truths in 3 ways. So, little bit explanation about that. Some more.
Okay. So here I should use the Pali word, right? The first one is Satjanyana.
Satjanyana.
Satjanyana. Satya is true, right? Jnana is knowledge.
Yeah.
So the knowing the truth. This is called Satjanyana. As long as we cannot know the truth, by the power of vision or knowing, then we cannot improve ourselves, right? That's why it's mentioned like it. The first one is Satyanyana. We also say Dasana Patiweda.
That's
Penetrating by vision or penetrating by seeing. So that means if we know, if we see all the Noble Truths with Saudapati path knowledge, this is called Dasana Patiweda. Okay? So that means we must know the 4 Noble Truths with Saudapati Mega Jnana. This is called Dasana Padiveda, this is also called Sajjanyana.
Hmm.
And another one is Kichanyana. Kichanyana means what to do with four noble truths. Okay, now I have already said the first noble truth is to be understand. Second noble truth is to be uproot or to eradicate. The third noble truth is to experience. The fourth noble truth is to practice the function of noble truth. What to do with four noble truths. So this one is called Pativeda. Sorry, Bhavana Pativeda.
Okay.
So that means penetrating by developing. So for the first part of knowledge, we have already known, we have already see it, but we can develop it with the remaining higher path knowledges. Sakadagami path knowledge, Nagami path knowledge, Ada path knowledge. With these three path knowledges, we can improve or we can develop. Right? This is called Kichanyana function. Then finally, we have called Katanyana. Katanyana means we have done. So that means we have already made it. We have already completed. After completion, what should we do? This is called Pachavakkananyana, reviewing knowledge. By reviewing all the four noble truths with reviewing knowledge, then we may have Katanyana. So, okay, we have the Sarabhati Meganyana, we call Kichanyana. Then Sakadagami, Anagami, Hada Meganyana, this is called Kichanyana. Then we have the revealed knowledge. These are called Katanyana. Okay?
Okay. Understood. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Arjun Krishna Ekka Kunada? Yeah, I think no question on that. Okay, sharing merits.
Okay. So we share merit, right? Itawadacha amehi sambadam bunya sambadam sabbe deva numodandu sabba sambati siddhya idam me nyadinam hodu sukhita hondu nyadayo idam me nyadinam hodu sukhita hondu nyadayo idam me nyadinam hodu sukhita hondu nyadayo idam me bunyam Asawakaya Waham Hodu Idame Bunyam Nibanasa Bajayo Hodu Mama Bunya Bagam Sabha Sadanam Bajemi Te Sabe Me Samam Bunya Bagam Lavandu Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.